And a power network doesn't just support you, it multiplies you. And if you surround yourself with small thinkers, you're going to shrink to fit the room. And if you surround yourself with big thinkers, you expand to match your environment. That's really the power of proximity. You become valuable when you help people, when you help people connect with other people. So be the connector. Don't just be the person that you want to have bringing all the value to your connections. And when you become the person who brings people together, your influence is going to skyrocket as well, because people want to be around people with influence. Because here's the truth, your network won't grow until you grow, and your connections aren't going to expand until you expand. And the room you want to be in, it won't open up until you actually raise your hand and say, I want to be in this circle. All right, welcome back to the Daily Mastermind. George Wright III. I'm your host with your daily dose of inspiration, motivation, and education. And today we're going to be diving into the power of your network. Here's something most entrepreneurs never really realize until later in their careers, and that is that your network isn't just part of your success. Your network is your success. And it determines your opportunities, your proximity to influence, as well as access to wisdom, resources, collaboration. You can only go so far by yourself. And, if you want to go further, it's going to be up to the people that you have right alongside you. So today I want to help you to understand how to build a powerful network, not through superficial connections, not through transactional relationships, but through genuine, intentional, value-driven relationships that elevate your success, your business, your life. So before I do that, I wanted to just also express my appreciation. Listen, the Daily Mastermind is now, I think, number 28 in the Apple podcast charts for entrepreneurship and business, and out of tens of thousands of podcasts. So I really appreciate you supporting the podcast, and I hope you get some value today that'll help take you to the next level. So let's talk about this power of the network. Entrepreneurs often chase strategies. They chase the tools and the tactics, but they overlook the most valuable asset, which is people. And a power network doesn't just support you, it multiplies you. And your network is going to give you access to opportunities that you didn't know existed, like the right connections to open doors and things. It's also going to give you wisdom you didn't have, or that you have to learn the hard way. Sometimes it takes you decades to learn stuff you can learn through your network. The other thing, though, if you really look into it, your network is going to bring you resources that you can't build alone. It's going to increase your belief, your accountability. It's even going to expand your identity when you're around the right people. So your network really determines what you believe is possible, but also what opportunities are around you. And if you surround yourself with small thinkers, you're going to shrink to fit the room. And if you surround yourself with big thinkers, you expand to match your environment. That's really the power of proximity, the energy, mindset, habits, and belief systems that you absorb from the people around you. And it's like Jim Rohn famously said, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So your network is going to be shaping you, and the people that you surround yourself are affecting you, whether it's intentional or whether it's unknowingly. So let's talk honestly about why so many entrepreneurs struggle with networking. It's not because they don't know how, it's because they're operating with the wrong mindset or the wrong expectation. So here's a couple mistakes that I think a lot of people make. Number one, networking is only when you need something. This is going to create pressure for you. It's going to create awkwardness. It's also going to create a very transactional energy. So, most people show up to try to get things from relationships, but a powerful network comes from showing up to give. So you got to first plan to give. Don't make the mistake of trying to get from your relationships. Mistake number 2 people make is they try to connect with everybody. And this is just going to leave you and your network with really superficial connections, not meaningful ones. Quality is the goal, not quantity. So your network should be curated. You should find intentional alignment with people that you know where you're going to work with. Another mistake people make is they don't invest time in maintaining those relationships, because consistency is going to build your trust, and trust builds opportunity, and the opportunity then builds the growth in your business. But it's going to take time for you to do that. You've got to build relationships, and real relationships aren't built through scripts and funnels and tactics. They're built through authenticity and value and consistency. So let's talk about how you're going to actually build these core relationships. What are ways that you can bring value and build these networks of people around you in a way that, will indirectly build your life and your business? The first thing that you've got to do is you've got to lead with value, not intention. See, people who build strongest networks are not the most charismatic. They're not the most valuable. They are the most valuable. Because if you try to build based on your personality, it's not really going to get you far. You've got to bring the value that creates like connections for people or trust or things that you can support them with. Ask yourself, how do I help this particular person grow? What insights can I share? How can I introduce them to people? How can I get resources for them? When you bring value, it's more important than, your personality. And so you've got to learn to really focus on the get and the serve and the showing up. When you do that, you're going to build a powerful network. Another thing you need to do is you can be the connector, not just the contact. You become valuable when you help people. When you help people connect with other people, sometimes we feel like we're giving away some of our inner circle, but that connection and the energy from giving those connections, it'll turn into resources for you, and it'll develop and build your relationship with people that you're connected with. So be the connector. Don't just be the person that you want to have bringing all the value to your connections. And when you become the person who brings people together, your influence is going to skyrocket as well, because people want to be around people with influence. The last thing I think you need to really focus on is building long-term, not short-term. Relationships are not transactional. They're not short-term. They're investments. And so the most powerful networks are built from consistently sending updates and checking in and celebrating people's wins and attending their events and supporting their business. Consistency doesn't require hours. It just requires you being conscious and intention of it. So when you have that intention to be in a relationship with business, you've got to, be proactive about it. And, most people spend like 40 hours a week building their business and they spend no time with relationships. So I'm just saying you need to invest in your relationships. That's going to be a powerful way to be able to build your network. Now, let's talk about how intentionally you can elevate, the value of your relationships. Because here's the truth, your network won't grow until you grow. And your connections aren't going to expand until you expand. And the room you want to be in, it won't open up until you actually raise your hand and say, I want to be in this circle. So you've got to elevate yourself to the circle. And the way you do that is you just flat out put yourself in better rooms, first and foremost. You got to get around the right people. And you also, secondly, you need to become interesting to the people around you. Most people try to impress other people, but leaders try to understand and connect and ask powerful questions. When you become interesting is when you show interest, if that makes sense. And another thing you can do to level up the rooms that you're in is upgrade your identity to match your network, rather than trying to make your network match your identity. So if you want to attract high-level people, you got to operate at a high level. And those are all, I'm not just talking about acting as if, I'm talking about doing what you say you're going to do, bringing value, being a leader, being reliable, that future version of yourself, that's your identity. Upgrade to that, and then match the network that matches that identity. That's where you'll start to level up. And then, lastly, build a reputation that works for you. Your reputation is networking and building value for your business. And when you consistently have a reputation of over-delivering and treating people right and following through, that reputation is what's going to help you to attract more significant, relationships, but also more quality relationships. Because your network will continue to grow even when you're not actively building it, when you have a good reputation and brand. So before we take off, let me just kind of give you my biggest takeaways from this topic. First, a powerful network multiplies everything. It's going to multiply your opportunities, your influence, your impact, even your confidence and your ideas and resources. The network that you build is not optional. It is critical to you growing a business. Second, Relationships are built through value. They're built through consistency, authenticity, not tactics. It's not a strategy. So when you show up and you serve and you connect and you contribute, you're going to be unforgettable and your network's going to grow. And then the last takeaway is your network grows when you grow. Elevate your thinking, elevate your identity. You're going to attract more people when you start operating from that next version of yourself. So that's the message that I want to have for you today. Really prioritize your network. Network is going to be a huge, mandatory, critical resource for you to grow your business, especially if you're building an authority brand. And I just want to remind you, if you haven't already, go over to the authoritymedianetwork.com and get interviewed in Valiant CEO magazine. It's totally free. If you go and you click the button on our website, it's probably up in the top right, you're going to get a free interview, and it will help you to build authority by being associated around other top performers and leaders and thought leaders like we have on the covers of our magazines. So that's the message I want to have for you today. Build your network, elevate your relationships, and if that's something that's helped you, share this show. Do me a favor and tag me in it if you would. I'd love to see what you're doing and be able to comment with you as well. You can hit us up on the Daily Mastermind on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or go over to our website, dailymastermind.com. But let us know what you're working on. I really want to be able to support you. That's why I do the podcast. We're growing like crazy, and I look forward to talking with you more tomorrow. And so have an amazing day. Thanks for being with me today.